Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another live. Um, Let me know if you can hear me over in the chat box. I just want to make sure. Yes. Okay, great. There's a little bit of a delay. Great. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Come on in, settle in. We're going to do another live. I wanted to touch base with everyone and see how everyone was doing. I just got out of my Palladian journey. I wanted to share some information that came in from them. And hold on a second. Let me just. I wanted to share with you guys a couple things that came through from the Palladians. And then let's do some questions. How's everyone doing? Louisiana. Dee Dee. Yeah, the Palladians were so awesome. They were so amazing. They brought us into this really amazing frequency, and they brought us into our heart centers and kind of allowed us to see the heart center as like a library of information. And that when we can start to bring ourselves into that center, which is the fourth energy center, often with our breath, that we have access to everything. We have access to our multidimensionality. We have access to all the information and messages that we are asking all the time outside. One of the things that I think happens as a programmed human, right? We're so programmed, is that from the moment we are born, we are always searching out. We're designed and programmed. We're not designed. We're programmed to look out for the answers and the messages and the guidance, right? Everything. It's like, I need it outside of me. I need it to be shown to me. I need somebody to stand there and tell me. I need another human to validate me, right? And what is happening and what is being asked by so many of us is to come back into your own sovereign field and learn to listen and follow what is your knowingness, what is your truth. It's all stored and kept within you, everything. So any other human that you are asking for guidance for or messages for, any of that, all they're doing is tapping into your energetic signature within you. That's you. You have access to it, right? And we are learning how to access it, how to hear it, how to feel it, how to know it. And we are remembering that the programming that we have had for so many years, since the moment we birthed ourselves into human form, is to keep us unconscious and to keep us looking out for answers, as if we don't have it inside of us, as if we didn't bring it in with us, as if it's not us. It's like it is us. Everything is us. It's all inside of us. The divine blueprint inside of you. The answers to every question you have inside of you. It's like everything's here. It's so simple. And so what the Palladians were saying was, come into this energy center right here, right? And breathe. So how do I even get in there? Breathe. Breathe. Can you find your breath, right? Just soften and quiet. Because the other thing that happens as a human is that we are programmed to Stephen, I just added you as the moderator. We're programmed to, what was I saying? I got distracted. Darn it. Oh, we're programmed to be unconscious in our world, right? So we're so busy. We're doing all of these things. We're active. We're in our minds. We're thinking. We've got this to-do list. We're dealing with like every other human out there and all these things, just our everyday regular life. Doing life in 3D keeps you unconscious, and it keeps you programmed and not in present moment, right? So what we are learning to do is to get as present as possible in every single now moment in the chaos or in the everyday life that you're doing. The grocery shopping, the going to school, the going to work, the dealing with coworkers, the dealing with parents, the dealing with all of that, right? Because we can't escape it. We are not shifting out of this reality. We are energetically shifting out of it, but our physical forms are not going anywhere. So no matter how high of a frequency you start to anchor in, you're still going to be standing with all the other humans out there. You're still going to have to navigate all the crazy out there, all the spectrum of consciousness out there. You don't escape it. And so what it means to consciously ascend is to start to get as conscious as you can in every single now moment. And in doing that, you become open, awake, conscious. You start to recognize your breath. You actually start to recognize that you can be quiet in the chaos. That's what sovereignty is. When you're sovereign in your field, you can go out into any sort of chaotic expression or experience of consciousness and remain solid in you. Part of sovereignty, they were saying, is learning that everything is inside of you and how do you reach it? How do you tap into it? They were giving the example of when you move into the heart center, which is basically a portal. It's an energetic center inside of you that when the human aspect of you, your awareness goes into it, you can access this library of anything and everything. Any possibility, every possibility, the quantum field, your multidimensionality, the higher self, the I am presence, all the different multidimensional beings around you, your Akashic record that you brought in, your divine blueprint, anything and everything. You have access to all of it. That's your gift as being born into this human form. And so what they were saying was, imagine that you're sitting in this library and you're sitting down in this desk and you've got your to-do list, right? Which is all your questions. And you just sit there in your breath and you sit there in the quiet and you pull out your list and you just start to ask the questions, but you're quiet and you're dropped into this breath and you're feeling this spacious, expanded state in that heart center. And you know, and you remember that you have access to everything. And there isn't going to be a human that's going to pop up and say, yes, you got it, keep going. I mean, if you've been practicing this sort of multidimensionality and accessing your guides, your higher self, any of that, you know that there's no human that jumps up all of a sudden and says, bingo, that's the correct answer, keep going, right? That doesn't happen. You have to trust. You have to know. You see, a lot of us get the answers when we ask. We just don't believe them. I do this all the time with my clients in sessions. I'll say, okay, ask the question out loud. They ask the question, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? And I'm receiving the answer, right, from their galactic guides standing there. So I know the answer from them. And what's the first thing that pops into your head? What's the first thing that pops in? What's the first thing? And they're like, well, this came in, right? Really hesitant, not sure. It's like, yes, bingo, that's it. That's it. But what the human does is doubt it, question it, make all these excuses as to why that can't possibly be the answer. I mean, it runs the gamut in terms of not trusting or believing or knowing that what is actually being given to you is truth, is your truth. That's the challenge in stepping into your multidimensionality. That's the challenge of bringing everything back in. That's the challenge of only listening to this space, to this field, right? Because when you start standing in a fifth dimensional consciousness and being in a fifth dimensional consciousness, no, you're not ever questioning what's coming through for you, what's being asked of you, what's being guided for you, where you're being guided. And you're never really looking for anything outside of you to provide those answers. It just doesn't make sense. It's like the whole universe is here. All the answers are, everything is here. What, I brought it all in. I brought everything in. What the hell am I going out here to try to figure it out? We have to learn how to do this. We have to learn how to navigate higher frequencies. We have to learn how to navigate the computer system that we have within us. The higher self, the I am presence, all these energy centers, the channel, the meridians that go out, they activate us, our energetic field that moves around us like a bumper car. We're learning, we're remembering. It's not even a learning, right? We have got to do it. You have to have the courage to say, what if I just say yes to it? I'm just going to say yes. When you ask questions, there's always a reason for asking that question. When you ask the question, what's the first thing that pops in? Write that down and then start to think about all the ways in which you're not going to believe it. It doesn't make any sense. I can't do that. Why would that be the one? That's only coming in because somebody told me that. You know, that name is only coming in because I just watched this movie about it. Just watch what you say to yourself when the answer is delivered to you. So again, when you move into this fourth energy center and breathe, so how do you get into the fourth energy center? Breath. Breath is present moment. If you're only focused on breath, you're present. You're not doing anything. When you're in a multidimensional state, you're not doing, you're being. So what does that mean, I'm not doing? It means that you're literally just being in that now. You may be actively doing something like running, playing yoga or playing games, doing yoga, get grocery shopping, right? You're actually like physically doing something with your body, but you're not doing, you're not trying to get anywhere. You're not trying to move yourself into a space. You're not trying to get out of something. You're not trying to raise yourself into you're just being. Your breath is the lighthouse that is allowing you to just be. It's the greatest gift that we have. It stops us in our tracks. And then if you bring the breath and your awareness into that fourth energy center right here, your breastbone, your chest, there is an infinite amount of information provided right there. It's practice. How do I get in there? What does it feel like? What does it look like? The Palladians took us in today and really allowed us to settle in and feel it. It's not just about heart-centered consciousness. It's not just about love, although that is something that you feel. It's also about accessing everything, all the information. And the source that you are, that we all are, that spark is in there. That bigger picture is in there. The aspect of us that we brought in and the aspect of us that we took with us the second we split from source is in that center. We can connect to it. And that's the aspect of us that we call the I am presence. We can connect to it there. But we can also connect to all the questions that we have. We can have fun in there. It's not just about settling in and emanating this love vibration. It's about accessing the multidimensionality. It's almost like there's this void and you go in and it's like, holy shit, I have access to everything. I am everything. I know everything. And then you come back out and you walk around and you're like, I'm still a form and I'm still in this 3D consciousness. And I have to learn as a multidimensional being how to do all of this. This is what it means to consciously ascend. I have to stand in a physical form that is 3D. It's dense. It's a physical, dense 3D form. And I've got to stand in it while I am courageously shifting consciousness inside my form so that I can hold a 5D consciousness at some point. And when you do that, you start being in that consciousness, engaging, interacting, responding, playing, but you're still standing, physically standing, physical form standing in 3D consciousness. So you can't escape it. You can't pretend it's not there, right? You've got to be in it. You got to play in it. The other interesting thing that I want to bring up is that one of the questions that was asked after the journey with the Pleiadians. So the Pleiadians came in and they sat in front of every single person that was in the journey, and this person said, "I feel like the channeling wasn't real. I feel like it was made up." Or I can't remember what she said, right? Like, I feel like it wasn't real. And that's a normal thing to feel for a lot of us when we start to learn how to engage with higher dimensional consciousnesses. We're so dense and we're so programmed to be dense and to be physical and to be in our form that we forgot the other multidimensionalities that are around us, the quantum field that's around us, our abilities as a multidimensional human, the light being that's inside of us, right? We forgot all of that. And so when we start to courageously remember and engage with these higher dimensional beings, it's not all of a sudden this movie screen pops on and you can see the entire thing. These Pleiadians aren't standing there in physicality saying, "Hi, how are you?" Right? It's a different frequency, right? It's a different energetic field. It's not in a 3D dense consciousness, so you can't see it. You might not be able to hear it. Maybe you can feel it, so you're going to doubt it. Here's the interesting piece. Who do you think you are? You are a higher dimensional being in physical form. You are that Pleiadian standing in front of you, or an aspect of that, or a higher frequency than the Pleiadian. You are that. You're not a human being. You're not the physical form. You're not this voice and this brain and this mind and this ego and this personality. This is just what you have participated in. This is what you have designed yourself to play in right now. You're that higher dimensional consciousness that you don't believe is in front of you. That's you. That's an absolute truth. It's a fact. Now, can you prove it? Not in third dimensional reality, you can't. You can know it, you can feel it, you can remember. You can remember dropping in. You can remember being in the Akashic records. You can remember it because it's you. And so when you start to engage with all of this, when you start to open yourself up to all of this multidimensionality, get real conscious on your thoughts and beliefs and your programs. We have been programmed and programmed and programmed and programmed. And yet we are that which we are doubting. How do I know they're talking to me? You are that. You are that higher frequency. You are it. You are that multidimensional higher frequency light being in an etheric body inside the human form. So every higher dimensional consciousness, including your guides, your higher self, your I am presence, all of that is an aspect of you that you are learning how to connect to when you have this dense physical form that's holding you. So you're learning how to do all of this. You know, ascension is not just about clearing out density and feeling everything and anchoring, light. It's about how to be in all of it and how to trust. How to trust. How do we do this? There's no handbook. And even if there was a handbook, it's still a handbook from somebody else that's telling you things that you're going to hold in the mind. Everything has to be felt. So here's the other thing they said. Everything's energy, right? We all know this. Everything's energy. Everything. The first way of engaging with energy or frequency is it's feel. You feel it. It's an energy. You tap it. You feel it first. You don't think it first. You don't rationalize it first. You don't try to dissect it first. First, you feel the energy. So how do you start feeling the energy? You start to recognize that you're energy. You start to recognize that you've got an energetic field around you 1.5 feet out. And that energetic field is like a bumper and it taps into every other being that's energetic, which is everything out there, including the higher dimensional consciousnesses that are around us. Now remember, the higher you go up in dimensions, the harder it is to feel it because it's a higher frequency. It's almost like farther away from you. So if the farther away a consciousness is in dimension, the more challenging it is to tap into it because you're so dense right now. But you keep opening. You keep opening. You keep opening up that seventh energy center, which is the gateway. It's the access point, right? And then as that happens, then all the other energy centers inside of you open up, which give you access to the quantum field. The energy centers inside your physical form are designed to open to give you access to the quantum realm, right? That's what they're designed to do. And they're inside your physical form. They're not outside. You don't search outside for these abilities or for the how-to. You search inside. You excavate the inside of your physical body. You embody. So right now, a lot of us, especially in the month of September, it's about embodiment, embodying, anchoring, embodying, getting in the body, and not just to feel your actual emotions, thoughts, and beliefs right now. Now we've been doing that. Good job. We've been doing that, right? We've nailed that freaking chapter real well, right? But now the next chapter of embodiment is listening, excavating it, navigating what's inside of me. How does my computer system work? Remember, you guys, this body is designed to shift up into a minimum of a seventh dimension. We're at third. So if you think about that, it has the ability to hold an energetic field, an energetic consciousness that is in a seventh dimension. It has to be able to activate, turn on, and hold that. So we have the ability. Now we need to go inside and figure out how it all works. What does all this mean? What is my channel? What does that mean? What does it feel like? My channel goes all the way through. My channel holds the 5 energy centers, or the 7 energy centers inside of me and the 5 above me. And then there's some beyond that. The energy centers are designed to activate and turn on and become beacons for me to navigate multidimensionally. Right? That's what the third eye does, right? When you activate and open up that third eye, all of a sudden you have your sensories, your multi-sensories. Clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, right? It's from that third eye. Why do we call it an eye? Because it allows us to see into the multi-dimensions through feeling, hearing, receiving downloads, seeing. So every step along the way, it's like we're learning more, we're learning more, we're learning more. This is all about remembering what we already know, but that we have forgotten and have been programmed to not remember. Not in a bad way and not in a good way. It just is the human condition. Nobody's done anything to you. You're not a victim. We're just remembering how all this works. And so the message is, what the Pleiadians really wanted us to hear today is the potency of that energy center right here, the 4th energy center, that it is way beyond just accessing heart-centered conscious. It is way beyond that. It is the library of knowledge. It is the home of all homes. It is the place where you can know everything. It's like where you can sit and be reintroduced to you, the light being that you are, the higher self, the I am present. What aspect do you want to connect with? What aspect do you want to be in? So it becomes navigating that, learning how to go in there, learning how to feel that. Nothing happens like this, you guys. For most of us, we have to learn, we have to practice. You know, again, the human wants things to happen instantaneously, quickly, easily, fast. Give me the handbook. Let me do it now. Show me exactly what I need to do and I'll do it. And that's not how it happens when you are consciously ascending into multi-dimensions and becoming your multidimensionality. It doesn't happen that way. It's messy and crunchy and, you know, it's up and down and it's, you know, alignment one day and not aligned the next, or feeling unaligned. You know, you're always aligned, but it's crunchy. And it's, you know, it just is. You're learning. It's like you're a baby and you're learning how to walk. The baby doesn't just get up and start walking. The baby has to learn. It has to crawl. It has to fall down. It has to hit its head. But the baby is designed to walk. The baby knows it's designed to walk. The baby doesn't say, shit, I'm stuck here crawling. I don't know how I'm going to get up and stand. I don't know how this is ever going to happen. How can somebody please tell me how I'm going to stand? Because I don't see how right now I'm ever going to stand on my feet. I can barely crawl to the next place without falling over. The baby doesn't do that. What does the baby do? The baby just keeps going because it knows intuitively that it's designed to stand up and walk. It's the exact same thing with ascension. It's the exact same thing. Your ability to live in multi-dimensions is just like your ability to be a multidimensional human. Your ability to anchor higher frequencies is designed within you. You're designed to do it. You are naturally capable of doing it. We just think too much. We analyze it too much. We have all this information being thrown at us about how to do it, when to do it, why to do it, all these different paradigms being thrown at us in this community that all of a sudden we're like, holy shit, I'm not doing it right. Oh my God, wait, I'm doing it too slow. Oh my God, this person's already activating this. The baby doesn't do that. The baby's not looking around at all the other babies and thinking, holy shit, that little kiddo, that little baby over there is already cruising down the road in his crawl, right? He's nailing the crawl. He's going to be up walking soon. How did he do that? Can somebody tell me how he did that so quickly? Baby doesn't do that. The baby just stays sovereign in its field, focused only on itself, only on what's happening in its now moment, knowing that eventually it's going to stand. That's you. That's you courageously going through your ascension right now. Think about it like that. There's no ifs. There's no maybes. There's no wins. It's now. It's always now. The next now, there you go. The next now. The baby is always learning to walk. Excuse me. Right? Does that make sense? The baby's always learning to walk. The baby isn't ever not getting closer to walking. It may take like 5 days where it's like, I'm not going to try to crawl right now because that crawling business is painful. I keep falling. Fine. Chill out. But guess what? You're going to walk. So every single one of you, regardless of where you are on your path of eventually walking, you're all shifting every single day. You're all shifting every single day, regardless of what it looks like. And you naturally are doing it. And you're naturally going to continue to do it. That's why you're on the earth plane. That's why you're in your physical form. That's why you are listening to this video right now, because you need to be reminded. You need that reminder. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm here to do this. It's going to happen no matter what. And I'm doing a badass job, regardless of how exhausted, sick, tired, angry, or frustrated I am. This is a reminder. This is your higher self reminding you. And the more we can settle into that and say, you know what if I just got present again? Every frustration, every sickness, every ailment, every whatever. What if I just stopped and settled into present moment for a moment? The ego's not in charge, right? The ego's not in charge. Your higher self's in charge. The guides around you are leading you meaning the higher self, which the higher self leads you, the ego, the personality, the human aspect of you. And so we come back to, circle around back to being able to hear the guidance, being able to listen to your higher self, being able to listen to your guides and not search out for something else. Somebody tell me, somebody tell me, somebody tell me. And how do you do that? Where's your breath? Can you stop and just breathe and just stop? Get quiet. Silence everything but your breath. For just a moment. Practice that. We have to shut off the mind. We have to shut off all of the distractions in the beginning in order to learn how to do this. And then we can start to do it without having to stop ourselves, right? We will begin to do it in your everyday now moments walking around. You can be in the grocery store with people yelling and screaming and all these things, and you will be aligned and connected to your breath and hearing all of the information and guidance around you at all times. That's how we are going to all be in another now moment. So first we have to learn, how do I walk into that chaos and freaking craziness of consciousness, open, aligned, sovereign, breathing, and aware. You practice. Maybe you sit before you go out into the car and out into the world, and you just center into this space for a moment and breathe. Open yourself up and breathe. Because there's nothing wrong with being sensitive. In fact, you're just going to become more sensitive. And all sensitive means is that you are becoming more energetic. So when you walk around the world with all the other energies, you're going to feel a lot of energy. It's not going anywhere. It's a matter of recognizing that energy field from that being, whether it's an animal or a person or an insect or a bird, whatever it is not coming into your field. You're hitting it. And you're not a victim. So nobody's doing anything to you. That's not how energy works, right? You are a sovereign field engaging with other sovereign humans that don't remember that they're sovereign. And so what begins to happen, two unconscious sovereign humans come together, and all of a sudden they're bumping each other's bumpers and their energetic fields. And this person's screaming and yelling about certain things, and this person doesn't want to engage, but all of a sudden they find themselves engaging, and then they get angry and upset with this person for pulling them down into this other frequency and making them feel certain ways, and it's all messed up and like confused, and this person's blaming this person for not giving them the information they need, and it just gets all messy, right? Because the two unconscious humans don't understand their energy fields. Where when you have two conscious humans that are holding higher frequencies in their physical form and they understand their sovereignty, this is what happens. They come together. They understand they're two sovereign beings going like this, right? So there's a bumper. They both have their own signature that they're vibrating in. And this person may be having a bad day, so they're just kind of just speaking about the now moment of whatever they're feeling, right? Just whatever's happening. And this person's like, oh, wow, okay. Just watching it, observing it, just being with it, right? And that's it. It's an observation. Observing this person's signature, observing this person's signature, feeling it. Oh, wow, I can feel that this person is upset or sad or whatever. And that's it. You're sovereign. Your bumper cars. That's it. You have a choice if you want to engage and play in this person's bumper or not. And then you walk away and you're still sovereign. I mean, that is how all of the really beautiful masters who served humanity were able to do it. Mahatma Gandhi, Jesus, Mother Teresa, Yogananda, you name them. They were aware of energy. They were aware of their frequency. They were aware of their sovereignty. They were sovereign. So they could step into any situation, in any moment, with any other human, and they were never pulled into that human's experience. They felt it. They felt it. But they did not get pulled into it as if that human was doing something to them. They loved that human for that human having that signature vibration in that moment. So when you get on the phone with a friend of yours who likes to complain a lot, right? You just honor that person's complaining signature. Wow, this person is still complaining. I'm going to observe it. If I choose to engage, then I'm going to be engaging with that frequency. I'm choosing it. She's not making me do that. She's not saying, I need you to engage in this right now. You need to hold this frequency. You need to play in this. They're not doing that. They're just being their signature. And you, as a conscious ascending human, get to say, do I want to play in this anymore, or do I want to just observe it? Remember that I'm sovereign, that I have a choice, and that this signature is not impacting me and pulling me down to any other frequency. I have a choice. And for a lot of us in the beginning, you guys, we have to sometimes separate ourselves from the people in our lives that are draining us because we don't understand our sovereignty yet. So we believe that they are draining us and they're exhausting to be around only because we don't understand sovereignty yet. And so we have to separate from people so that we can start to really learn our sovereignty, so we can start to increase our vibratory rate within our physical form more and more. And what you'll notice is that you will eventually find yourself anchoring higher frequencies, and you will be able to go back and hang out with that person and they won't impact you. They haven't changed. Their signature hasn't changed. They're still complaining. You are understanding your sovereignty more. You are anchored into a higher frequency. And so you are able to stand in their space and just observe. Holy shit, I can be around this person and it's not impacting me anymore. All that means is that you are learning your sovereignty. You are holding higher frequencies in the form, which means you're anchoring them. Your body is anchoring them and holding them. And you can now stand in the vicinity of people that used to drive you crazy. So there's phases that we go through, right? It's okay when you feel like we have to separate for a while. Nothing wrong with that. You always want to respect and honor your boundaries. You always want to respect and honor what feels right to you, what resonates with you. But a lot of times as you do that, and when you do that, you'll start to learn sovereignty more and more from strangers, because you can't separate yourself from society, from culture, from people. And you will consciously continue to ascend, just like the little baby learning how to walk, and eventually find yourself in a higher frequency. And the way you'll know you're in a higher frequency a lot of times is that you'll encounter somebody that's similar to this person or this person, and you'll respond completely different. Oh my God, I'm different. I've shifted. A lot of times we need external humans to show us how much we have changed, which just means become more sovereign and holding a higher frequency. It's a gift. It's really a gift. It's glorious, my friends. Hi, you guys. Welcome. Welcome. Happy Friday. Okay, let's do some questions. A couple of things I want to just state really quickly. So a lot of you have been asking if I do sessions right now, and I'm doing very few sessions, maybe like 5 a month. So I'm just not as available as I used to be. But I did want to mention that I have a really, really great friend, Stephen Libby, who he's actually on here right now. And he does amazing sessions, and his website is, what is it? Hold on. Starborn Messenger. He also has a YouTube channel, and he also does webinars and masterclasses and all that. But anyways, I wanted to mention him. So if you are interested in a session with me, go and direct yourself to him, because I just am not taking sessions right now. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, let's start with questions. Okay. Let's go. What do we have, you guys? What do we have today? Your hair looks beautiful. Yes, I blew dry it first of all, and then I straightened it. I never blow dry my hair. Manita, I've never heard of a soul trap, so I don't know what a soul trap is. I don't believe that souls are trapped anywhere because you have free will. So, yeah, I don't think souls get trapped. Not when you understand souls, you understand that they have free will. So I don't know that. I'm not sure. I would say no. Okay, sovereignty. Can you explain sovereignty differently? Having a hard time understanding it. Yes, I will, because you're not the first one that's asked that. Okay, sovereignty is, imagine sovereignty is being able to stand in a room full of people, and every single person sounds different, looks different, is speaking things out into the room, and they're giving all these different messages, and you're standing in the room with all of these other humans that are standing in the room, and you're only focused on what's in your field. Okay, so you've got all these distractions around you. You've got all these amazing humans. They're beautiful. Maybe some of them aren't so beautiful. They're tall, they're short, and they're all speaking amazing things, providing messages, maybe singing, maybe performing, maybe they're a comedian, God knows, but they're all doing them. Okay, and you're in the room with them. When you're not sovereign, what happens to us is we get distracted and we get pulled into other people's energy fields. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, maybe I should be doing that. Oh, what are they saying? Oh, I believe what they're saying. Oh, I like what they're saying. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, God, I'm not as good as that. You start to look around and you're no longer in your sovereign field. Being sovereign is imagining that you are standing in a room of all those humans and all you're focused on, all you care about is what's happening here. How do you feel? What are you hearing? What are you listening to? What's your truth? What's your knowingness? What's your resonance? So you're not escaping from everything that's going on around you, but you are standing in a solid, sovereign field, which means that the only thing that matters is you. So you can, meaning the only thing that matters is what is your resonance, what's your truth, what's your you. And when you're in that space, you can then walk around. It's a feeling of confidence, of strength, of it's your signature, it's your energy, it's you. And so when you walk around all the other humans, you're in that knowingness, you're in that field. And so you can walk around and you won't be pulled. You won't be questioning. You won't be wondering. You won't be insecure. You'll be you. 100% your signature, your resonance. Sovereignty is knowing who you are. Sovereignty is knowing your field of energy around you. Sovereignty is knowing what you're resonating with. Sovereignty is knowing your voice, is knowing your truth. Sovereignty is turning everything inward with a laser beam focus right here. How do I feel? How do I think? How do I know? How do I walk? How do I talk? All of it right here. That's sovereignty. That's being sovereign. So it's you learn it. It's you unpack it. You unpack it. Right? I hope that makes sense. Sovereignty is a really challenging word or beingness to explain, and it's also challenging to kind of understand it because it's a beingness. You just are it, and you learn, and you'll recognize all of a sudden, oh my God, I feel sovereign. It's like you're just you. But you're still going to be your humanness, right? You're still going to have all the humanness, but you still come back to you. You still come back to your sovereign field. Me. This is Lori the human and the higher dimensional being inside of me and all the centers that I have and my resonance and my vibration and everything that I'm experiencing and everything that I know to be my truth and how I respond to people when they speak or how I act when I'm presented with something. It's your unique signature. I hope that makes sense. Is it possible to drop back into 3D frequency once you've anchored 4D or higher? The real St. Lucie, is it possible? Yes. So not when you're in a 5D frequency. So when you're anchored into a 4D frequency, right? What does that mean to say that you're anchored in a 4D frequency? Anchoring a 4D frequency means that your physical form is holding fourth dimensional consciousness now. It's anchored it in. It's grounded down, and it's now holding at every now moment a 4D consciousness, as opposed to us moving into 4D consciousness or 5D consciousness, right? Tapping into it, pulling it into our bodies, assimilating it, and acclimating it. When you assimilate and acclimate energy, the energy is moving around and trying to anchor down into the body. So it's moving around, right? It's pushing things out of the way. It's active. It's moving. which means that in every now moment, you could be pulled into 3D, you could pull into 5D. You're not anchored. The physical form isn't anchored in the 4D. So we originally start in the 3D. So the body is always anchored down into 3D. So you're always going to be feeling 3D consciousness. But when you start to actively and consciously ascend, you start tapping into 4D consciousness and 5D consciousness. As you start tapping into those, based on the amount of light that's coming down into your body, which is allowing you to access the 4D and the 5D, then what happens is that consciousness starts to move into the form, right? The energy, the light that's coming into you is activating that consciousness inside of you. It's increasing the frequency and vibration of the light inside of you, which allows you to start to access higher consciousnesses that are available. And when you start to access those higher consciousnesses, that higher consciousness needs to get anchored into the physical form. The steps in which it anchors it in is it acclimates and assimilates first. So it has to navigate in over and over again. And when it starts navigating and like billowing in, whatever that's called, right? It starts to clear out all the density in the way, the clearing, the purging, the healing, all of that, right? And these are slow steps, but as that starts to happen, the body starts to settle in to the higher frequencies, anchor, settle in, right? It's almost like when you build a house, you have to have a foundation. If you don't have the foundation, the house is just going to drop, right? So when you build the foundation, it settles, and then it settles more. And throughout the years, it settles more and it continues to settle, right? It never just stays. It's always settling a little bit more. And so that's what's happening. We are anchoring all the time, a little bit higher frequency, a little bit higher frequency. And when you're anchored, it means that you are in that frequency at all now moments. So if you're anchored into the 3D, you're always going to be experiencing 3D. But as the light comes in, you'll tap into 4D, you'll tap into 5D, you'll start anchoring that down into your body as well. So if you're anchored into a 4D, that means that you have acclimated and assimilated enough light that you have been able to speed that light up into a 4D consciousness. You're now tapping into 4D consciousness. You're now feeling and experiencing 4D consciousness. And that 4D consciousness is now finally anchored in. It's cleared out and it's anchored. Now, when you're anchored in a 4D, you're still going to tap into 3D consciousness, but you're not anchored into 3D anymore. So you're going to be tapping into it, right? Because you're still in a 3D field. You're still in a 3D field, but your physical form is anchored in a 4D. So you're still navigating 3D consciousness, and you're tapping into 5D consciousness easier. You're experiencing 5D consciousness easier, right? And because you're in a higher frequency now. Your form is in a higher frequency. It's anchored into it. So it's almost like you are on street, let's say the street is called like Walnut Street, right? And that's 3D. And your body was on Walnut Street and you were walking on Walnut Street, down Walnut Street. You were anchored in that street. That's the street you were on. You couldn't go anywhere else. That was where your form was walking. And then as you acclimated and assimilated more of the light, you were able to tap into the 4D consciousness and 5D consciousness and finally anchor that 4D in. As soon as it anchored in, you were instantly moved over into a different street, Strawberry Street. 4D consciousness. Now you are on Strawberry Street, you're anchored in Strawberry Street, but you're still going to experience the stuff you experienced in Walnut Street because Walnut Street, the 3D, is everywhere. It is all of the kind of field that we're walking in, but you're anchored down into a consciousness that is 4D. Okay, so you're still going to tap into 3D, but what's going to happen is you're not going to play in it, right? So you're going to recognize it, you're going to watch it, you're going to see it, right? Maybe you'll still play in certain paradigms or certain programs. Maybe you'll still engage with humans that are really holding a lower frequency, but you're going to be aware. When you're anchored in 4D, you're acutely aware of everything. So the lights start to turn on and you're like, oh my God, look at how we've been programmed and designed. And you're just like, the lights are so bright when you're in 4D. And you recognize the choice you have, right? But you're still going to tap into 3D. Maybe you'll play in it for a little bit. It depends, right? And then we're moving into and anchoring into 5D, right? Which is going to take some time, but it's happening. And then when you're anchored into 5D, you will, right now, in this now moment, if you were anchored into 5D, you would still be experiencing 3D consciousness. Because that is the world in which the collective is standing in, is a 3D consciousness field. But your form will be anchored into a 5D consciousness, which means that everything you do, feel, be, and experience is from that consciousness. So you'll be behaving, you'll be acting, you'll be speaking, you'll be responding, you'll be resonating in a 5D consciousness. Even though you're walking around in a field that is in 3D. But as more and more of us are consciously and actively ascending and anchoring those higher frequencies, the collective starts to pull the other collective along, opening up this 5D consciousness to start to be in and participate in. And the more that the collective moves into that field, the more the reality will shift around us. Right now, 99% of humanity is in a 3D consciousness. And so our job as light workers and way showers, first and foremost, is to anchor the light. Beyond your blueprint, beyond your purpose work, the most important piece and the most important reason that you're on the earth plane is to pull the collective by anchoring the light and shifting yourself into the next dimension, because what that is doing, that you're not aware of necessarily, is that it's pulling the collective and it's opening up that portal even bigger, right? So that 5D consciousness right now is a very small portal because very few are accessing it and entering into it. The more humans that enter into it, the more humans that access it, the more humans that open up and step into it, the wider that portal gets, the larger that portal gets. And all of a sudden, that portal, that 5D consciousness starts to spread and spread and spread. And then the next thing you know, 80% is only in 3D, right? Then 70% is in 3D, right? It starts to shift by the humans shifting. That was a really long explanation for that question. I've got a really itchy throat, so hold on. I know that you can hear this thing, so I'm trying to. Good question, thank you. Ann Davis, have you ever listened to Cryon? Yeah, I've read his books back in the 90s. So 1993, 94, I was reading his books. When his books first came out, I started reading them. In 1994 and 95. The great books. But I haven't read his books in years and years and years and years and years. But he's a great channel, great information. Your information with Cryons, and it resonates very harmoniously. Oh, that's awesome to know. That's great. Okay, sorry, I'm just skipping, you guys. I'm just pulling it down. So I'm not trying to skip over anyone's question. So, Elaine, why is it that some days I understand what you are saying, and yet today it's like my brain is mush? Because you're done. You're sometimes there's only, I feel the same way. So I don't show up live for you guys or even on YouTube or on anything if I'm not feeling connected. So quote unquote connected. We're always connected, right? But if I don't feel on, so to speak, I'm not coming on. Right. And so there are days, Elaine, where I'm like, I can't think about consciousness. I can't think about dimensions. Like, it doesn't make sense. I just can't do it. It's like I need a timeout, and I'm just like, I'm not doing it today. Right. And I'll turn off and I'll just shut down. Most of the days, though, I am pretty aligned and connected to it. But there are days where you're like, I can't grasp this. It doesn't make sense. Not only does it make sense, but I don't give a shit. I don't care. I've got like really human 3D things going on, and everything you're saying doesn't matter to me right now. I've got to pay bills, or I've got to go to this legal thing. I got a parking ticket that's $500. Again, we are in a 3D consciousness. So it can be, you don't always have to be super alert and on to all of this, but eventually we will. Eventually it will be an every now moment that we won't be doing that back and forth. But I feel that way sometimes as well, Elaine, where I just am like, I'm not doing this. I'm not talking. I'm not feeling. I'm checking out. I was like that for like 6 days. Always connected and aligned with my guides. So I'm always hearing my higher self. I'm always hearing my guides. Don't think I don't argue with them. I think I'm with my guides and my higher self more than I am with humans. So I speak to them more than humans a lot of time. So I'm always talking to them and communicating, arguing and having discussions and like, like they're humans. But I'm not always aligned and wanting to like talk about these higher perspective things or even just the multidimensionality or the quantum stuff. Sometimes it's just like, what does it matter? What does it matter when I have to go and, whatever, do whatever life is calling? But what we're learning as multidimensional humans is how to do it all, is how to be in all of it at the same time and not shut down or close off or do that, right? We're learning how to be able to be our multidimensional selves in the midst of all of the human chaos that we experience every day. Chaos is not a bad thing. It's just the word I'm using, right? Chaos in the sense that there is a spectrum of consciousness out there that is massive. And in any now moment, when you step out, you can experience joy or pain. You can experience death or birth. You can experience love or fear. There's just such a massive amount in every day, in every now moment, right? So we're learning as multidimensional humans, as we activate consciously and ascend consciously, how to hold it all. And the more we are learning this, you guys, I don't know about you, but the more I'm learning it, the more I'm like, geez, Louise, this was a massive undertaking. It's a massive undertaking to shift consciousness in a physical form when the masses are not doing it. When you're the way shower, when you're the light worker, when you're the one having to go forward first. So all of you that are having challenging times, all of you that are questioning and doubting and wondering and all the gamut of things you're feeling, it's no wonder. This is a massive undertaking that the light workers and way showers have agreed to. Massive. There is, to shift consciousness and dimensions in a physical form is like, why the freak would Earth want to do this? I don't know why she wanted to. I mean, if I was in a higher consciousness, I would maybe understand. I mean, it's definitely an experiment. It's definitely something that's like, wow, can you do that? What's it like when you do that? How amazing would that be? But never did she imagine she would be in a 3D consciousness doing it. She never chose 3D. Never would have ever done it in this low of a density. So the fact that every single one of you are in physical form in a 3D field, consciously ascending, you deserve a medal. You deserve a standing ovation and a medal, because I don't know what the freak, why we decided to do this, because it's insane. It's a miracle. I mean, honestly, you guys, it's insane. So take the pressure off, because this is crazy, and you're doing it, right? We're the baby learning to walk. It's a go. It's the green light's on. It's just navigating it. A lot of people cry and can't explain it. Olga, how did you overcome your addictions, which you talked about before? So I was a drinker. I drank. I mean, you can consider me an alcoholic. I mean, first of all, I had every addiction. I loved drugs. I loved drinking. I had no respect for my body. So I just was like, no boundaries around sex or any of that. I had an eating disorder for most of my life, really. It just wasn't actually active, meaning I never liked my body. I always felt fat, right? Didn't necessarily binge, purge, or starve myself, although I did do that in previous years. I've always had addictions. And when I woke up for the last time in 2013, I was drinking pretty heavily. And so my wake up and my no longer drinking happened at the same time. And it was this knowingness of, if you don't stop this drinking, you won't be able to do what you came onto the earth plane to do. So with the alcohol, I just stopped cold turkey and did AA, and I haven't had a drink since. With the eating disorder, I don't have the actual behaviors any longer, but I have the programming still. I have the beliefs that come up still, right? So I'm clearing out and healing those. And how do I do that? So it is an addiction in the sense that, God, those thoughts are still there. Like, holy cow, and the thoughts being thinking about your body, what does your body look like, just not being 100% in love with my body yet, right? Totally okay. I'm okay with that. And so how I heal it or clear it is just conscious awareness, consciously aware of it, like minutely aware of it. And every time I hear a thought come in or a belief come in around that addiction, I recognize it as an aspect of me that is not me, right? But it is an aspect of me that I played in for a very long time, and I needed it. And I'm no longer it. I'm stepping out of it. I'm moving out of it. I'm shifting out of it. So you have to get a perspective that's bigger than, I am this addiction. I am the addict. I am the addictive behaviors. You have to get this bigger perspective. Otherwise, you will stay in it, right? And the biggest key to getting out of an addiction is to step out of the addiction and see it for what it is, and to get conscious every day, to not beat yourself up when you're doing the addiction. You love yourself through the addiction. You love yourself through the addiction. And then you are consciously doing everything you can to shift the patterns, the very natural, very unconscious patterns that you have done in order to not feel. So a lot of times the addictive behaviors are in the midst of you trying to not feel that which wants to be felt. You're trying to control the situation. You're trying to control everything. So you just want to get really conscious. That's the best thing. I mean, going and getting therapy and anything else that you're feeling called to do, absolutely do whatever you need to do. But for me, it's all about getting conscious and loving myself through those conscious thoughts, loving myself through the old beliefs, the old patterns, the old things that are still coming up to clear, and knowing that no matter what, unequivocally, 1 bazillion%, I will not be in that space in another now moment. Just like the baby, no matter what, that baby is eventually going to walk, right? You're not going to look at that baby and say, oh, good luck, I hope you can walk one day. Addictions don't stay. They don't have to stay. And you can do QHHTs to heal addictions. You can go to different types of energy healers. You can heal an addiction like this in the quantum field. Just like this, you can heal an addiction. It's absolutely true. You can heal it like this. You have to just believe it. So it's just like walking. You look at it just like a baby crawling and learning to walk. Change the paradigm and belief you have around addiction. Change it. Because all addiction is a massive amount of dense programming and behaviors and thoughts and beliefs that you've done unconsciously over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's your go-to. It's your go-to. It's your go-to. You start to think something, feel something, experience something uncomfortable. Here's my go-to. You don't even realize, right? It just needs to be cleared out. And it can do it just like that. Or it can take a while, right? You're just compassionate with yourself, loving with yourself. You know what I mean? Hello, Ascension Explorer. Welcome. Quite the entrance. Hello. Yeah. So that's my description of, or that's how I would look at it. But it's not easy, and it can be healed quite quickly. It just depends on what your beliefs are. All right, what else do we have? It's crazy to hear these things about your life, considering how expanded you are. So inspiring. Thank you for fulfilling your purpose. Susie Q. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that is really, really important is to show the humanness of the multidimensionality of us, right? Because I always say this. I'm no different than any one of you on this chat right now, on this channel. I'm no different. And I have just chosen to drop in and commit to this work. And I committed to it 100%. And here I am. And yet I still have all my humanness that I'm clearing out. I have all my humanness that I'm working through. I have, you're not like, just because I have access to these beings and I have this information that I don't know I have doesn't make me any better or any more special. It just makes me connected to what I came here to do, which is great. But I still am human. I still have to navigate the consciousness like you do. I still have to get rid of the densities like you do. No different. I just have this ability to pull in information and know things that I don't even know how I know. Thank God for that, because then we get to understand what we're doing. There's clarity around it, like, oh my God, thank you. So what else? Any other questions, you guys? Let's see. Yes, I straightened my hair today. I straightened my hair. You guys, my Patreon subscription group is up and running. It's going to go live October 2nd. So it's my online community. It's called the StarGate Circle. It's an online community. It's subscription based. I'm doing it on Patreon. It's up and ready, so you can sign up. There are 3 lives that I'm doing every month minimum. One of the lives is an actual mini session with somebody in the community. I just pull a name out of the box and I do a live mini session with them. Another one is a Q&A that I'm doing. Another one is a channeled message. It could be like a meditation with a higher dimensional being, like a Pleiadian or Arcturian or Sirian, whoever wants to come in, kind of like what we did today earlier, if you were with me. So 3 of those minimum every month, and then anything else I feel like bringing in to the circle. I'm super excited about it. I have been planning this for months. You guys have heard me talk about this. So the link is up now. If you just go to Patreon and type in my name, you'll find it. I'll link the link down below as well. You can subscribe and unsubscribe if you don't like it. It's $23 a month. And I'm excited to share more of me, and I'll still be on YouTube. I'll still be doing live YouTubes every 2 weeks. So I'm not going anywhere. I just want to create this beautiful container as well. I'm really excited about it. And also, if you didn't hear, Stephen Libby is on here. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing human. And he provides amazing sessions. He has amazing YouTube channel. I rarely give a shout out to other light workers, only because I don't socialize a lot. But anyway, if you're looking for a session, if you want clarity, if you want understanding, if you want to, I don't know, even though it's like the message today from the Pleiadians was like, come in, go in, don't look out. If you do want to look outside and find some answers, Stephen Libby's amazing. Starborn Messenger. He's on here somewhere. All right, let's do some more questions. Let's see. When you are doing, Megan, when you are doing the integration process, is it normal to feel inordinarily awful? Okay, so Megan, is it normal to feel inordinarily, I don't know what that word means, inordinarily awful? When you are doing the integration process, is it normal? Okay, so when you're integrating, you can imagine it like you're in a washing machine in a spin cycle. And everything's being thrown up in the air. You don't realize, are you a human? Are you not a human? Why are you here? How are you here? Time seems warped. You can imagine multiple consciousnesses, multiple frequencies, multiple dimensions. All of this stuff is all over the place inside your body. Okay, the integration process is a messy moment in the now. And there, you can feel really low. You can feel super high all of a sudden. You can feel completely not present. Like, am I even a human being? I can't function. I can't talk to people. Like, what is this? Am I going crazy? You may feel like super heavy and dense, right? The integration process is, imagine many different frequencies and and consciousness is all moving around. So when you're in an integration phase, it happens right after a massive portal of frequency enters, right? So when we went through the Lion's Gate, right, that was a massive portal. And so we were receiving all of this high frequency light. And then as soon as the portal, stepped out of the portal, integration happens. And that's when you're like, holy shit, what just happened? And then you're settling into that integration phase and you're realizing, oh, you're feeling all these other funky things, right? When you're in the portal and the high frequency light's coming in, you're either going to feel really emotional, really exhausted, sick to your stomach, all kinds of like physical sensations, or you may feel super high vibe, right? But the integration phase afterwards is where you're like, what just happened? Who am I? I don't want to be here. I do want to be here. I don't know what I'm here to do. I need to figure out what I'm here to do. I don't care what I'm here to do. It's like chaos. Imagine being in the spin cycle of the washing machine, because the integration phase, after the integration phase, is anchoring. It's the anchoring, right? So the integration, so the light comes in, the massive amounts of light comes in, you start to acclimate and assimilate it, and then you start to integrate it, and then you anchor it, right? So the integration phase can feel crazy, cuckoo. Because you're moving through different dimensions. You're opening up into the quantum. There's so many different things you're feeling. It's because you're accessing higher frequencies, and you're in your body though. So you're being a higher frequency and you're being a lower frequency, and then you're being a higher frequency and then you're being a lower frequency. Which one am I? I don't know. Am I all of it? I don't know. I'm freaking crazy, that's for sure, right? And then you beat yourself up because in the integration phase, you're like, oh my God, I was really high. Why am I not high anymore? Now I'm really low. Something's wrong with me. I need to get back high. That's integration. And then you start to anchor. And anchoring is when you start to kind of mellow out a little bit, right? Things start to quiet. And you find yourself in a little bit of a different energetic frequency. And the way you know that is how you are reacting, responding, and being out there in the 3D field. If that makes sense. So if you're crazy, hallelujah. Integration is crazy. If you know what I mean. No. Leah asked, do the Pleiadians, Sirians, Lemurians also experience the energetic shifts that we are on Earth? No, because they're not a physical form like we are, and they're not designed to. So they are just like our etheric body holds the light. So the light being that we are, so we dropped in as a higher consciousness. This is an important piece. I don't know if it's important. So the light being that you were, the higher frequency that consciousness that you were before being in physical form, an aspect of that dropped into physical form. Okay, it dropped into physical form, and it anchored into the etheric body, so it's held in the etheric body. The light being, the light aspect of you, that higher consciousness aspect of you that said, yes, I'm going to come in, that doesn't shift. That doesn't shift consciousness. It doesn't shift frequency. It doesn't shift it doesn't shift at all. What's shifting is the light inside your physical form and your physical form itself. The higher self doesn't shift. The I am presence doesn't shift, right? So it's the energy and light inside of your body. It's the light codes that you brought in that are shifting. The DNA, which is shifting, which is light. The light and energy inside of you shifts. The physical body shifts. But your higher self doesn't shift. The I am presence doesn't shift. And the light being that you are that dropped in from a higher consciousness doesn't shift. So higher dimensional light beings don't shift. They're not on the earth plane to shift. They're not in 3D to shift. They're in another dimension. They're in a completely different dimension. They're not experiencing this dimension because they're not in physically this dimension. Henry, I'm sorry you were experiencing that. Actually, I'm not sorry you're experiencing that, because that's, it's interesting when I say I'm sorry that somebody was going through something really like not so fun or not, or kind of traumatic or depressed, but actually it's always for your highest good. Even though we don't like it, even though it's not fun, it's always for the highest good. It's always taking us to the next level. Always. Excuse the noise outside. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, they're blowing my stairs. So annoying. Anyway, what else? Does everyone shift at some point? Not everyone, only if you choose to. But eventually, when that 5D portal opens up more and more and more and more and more humans will have access to it, and more humans will be able to decide if they want to shift or not. But not every human that's on the physical plane right now in physical form are going to shift, nor do they want to shift. Do your guides ever laugh at you and have fun joking about all the time, Rebecca? Are you kidding me? Listen, these higher dimensional beings, they don't laugh at me like at the expense of me, but they look at me like, it's almost like, all right, go ahead, give it to us. Next. It's almost like, and they do laugh at the human experience a lot in terms of like, wow, look at how you guys do things. Look at how you react to things. Look at how serious you take things. Like, but they're never laughing in terms of like laughing at our expense or laughing at me for feeling a certain way or experiencing something, but they have this energy of, okay, next. And then I'll bitch and moan about something. It's like, okay, next. It's almost like they don't really take it seriously. It's like, all right, that's just you being human. When get it out, be done with it, and let's move on, because we've got things to do with you. Are you done having a temper tantrum? Great. Let's move on. That's kind of the energy of the beings that are around me. It's like, okay, like a patient parent, right? Like, okay, you can move on now. You can step into what you already know is here and what's waiting for you. Because I will have temper tantrums about what's being asked of me. I'll have temper tantrums about like, doing work or staying focused or committing to certain things. And they'll just sit back and wait. We love you. We're here. This is what you're doing. It's up to you. They just remind me all the time. What else? What's the highest frequency the human body can hold? Well, right now, the highest frequency that the human body can hold is probably, well, I don't know what you mean hold. If you mean anchored, it's a 7th dimensional frequency right now. They can anchor into a 7D. You can tap into up to a 12D, meaning that you have the ability to access 12D consciousness in the physical form. You can leave your physical form and access much higher frequencies. So it's a little bit complicated. Like a 24th dimensional being could come down into my field and I can access that 24th dimensional being, but I'm not pulling that 24th dimensional consciousness into my form to actually acclimate it or assimilate it or integrate it or anchor it. So the physical form is capable of anchoring and acclimating and assimilating a 12th dimensional frequency at the highest. That's how it's designed. The physical form right now in our reality can anchor as high as a 7th dimension. Anchor. We are not capable yet to be able to anchor into a 12D, because 12D isn't even physical. So when you get past 7D, you're no longer physical. What else? How many dimensions are there? Who knows, Leah? There's an infinite amount. I mean, it's impossible to answer that question. There's an infinite amount of possibilities of dimensions, experiences, realities, everything. It's infinite, which is like absurdly impossible to understand, but it is. What are your thoughts on the equinox coming up? Well, I'm not much on like tapping into like full moons or new moons or like those kinds of things. What I can tell you about the energies in September is that it is all about massive embodiment and beingness. So being could also be looked at as like action, doing, right? Being in your multidimensional states, being your higher frequency that's in your form, being and tapping into experiencing what is inside of you, waiting to be explored, waiting to be, right? It's time for us to start to be. Instead of navigating and understanding it and trying to learn it, it's time to be it. So the September energies is all about embodiment, which means be it. Be in the body. And when you're in the body, you are being these higher frequencies. You're already anchored into a 4D, most of you. You just don't realize it because you're in your head all the time and you're trying to figure things out and you're learning all these things and you're thinking, oh, I must not be that. I must not be that. I'm still feeling, 3D consciousness. I'm still clearing. I'm still purging. Yes, but your body is anchored into a 4D. So you're capable of tapping into your multidimensionality. You're capable of tapping into your own knowingnesses. You're capable of hearing your higher self. You're capable of all this. It's almost like you have to be kicked off the freaking cliff and start to fly. And unless somebody kicks you, you're not going to realize that you're capable. You're capable now. September is the month of capabilities, embodiment. Come in and do it now. You're capable of doing it. So, I would never have started. This is a true story. I would have it may have taken me a much longer time to learn that I was a channel, unless the mentor that I was working with in the beginning told me to channel in front of her. So meaning that I was practicing, right? And I was like, I think that's what I'm doing, but I have no idea. I don't know if I am or not. I don't trust it. I don't believe it. And that aspect of me, that kind of playing around with the channeling and thinking maybe, that could have lasted for a very long time. But it wasn't until my mentor said, sit on this couch and I want you to channel for me. And I was like, holy shit, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know how. I don't know what I'm doing. And I was forced to, that I actually realized, oh, I'm doing it, right? So sometimes we have to be forced. And sometimes we don't have a mentor to force us. We don't have somebody to force us to do it. We've got to do it ourselves. And this is where it comes back once again to that original conversation with the Pleiadians, which is like, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself. Nobody else is going to kick you off that cliff and start to fly, force you to fly. We are all capable right now to begin to do multidimensionality. You just have to start to do it, meaning be it. You have to start to be it. You have to start to access it now. It's inside. It's embodied. You get in the body now. Get in the body. What does that mean? How do I get into my body? How do I know I'm embodied? You feel. Now, not just feeling your emotions and doing all that stuff we've been doing for so long. No, you feel energy. You feel your resonance. You feel your breath. Move into that fourth energy center. What does it feel like? You quiet. You get present. You listen. You trust what you're hearing. You write down what you're hearing. You believe what you're hearing. And if you can't hear, you can hear. You're just distracted by the mind telling you all kinds of things. So what do you need to do to quiet the mind? What do you need to do to quiet your mind? And do that so that you can quiet the chaos up here, so that you can get into the body and feel and hear and listen and know. All right, what else? I'll take one more question and then I'm going to go. Animals are already in a higher frequency. A lot of animals hold a 5D consciousness. I would say most animals hold a 5D consciousness. I feel like I'm in a state of peace and completion inside, but peace on earth is not what I see outside yet. So is it in my perception? Or is it in my vibration? Or am I waiting? Hold on a second. I feel I'm in a state of peace and completion inside. Okay. But peace on earth is not what I see outside. Correct. So is it my perception or is it my vibration? Or am I waiting for others to see it with me? You're waiting for others to see it with you. So beautiful. That is a prime example of anchoring into a higher frequency and a higher dimension, and yet still standing in a third dimensional field. And so what you're doing is you're still seeing chaos, destruction, fear, anger, rage, control, but you are experiencing your sovereign reality different from that. And so what you're doing is you're a way shower and a light worker leading the way and opening up the portal to these higher consciousnesses and higher dimensions so that all of the other humans that may or may not choose can enter into that space as well. Okay. So just because you start to shift, you have to understand that there's still going to be chaos. There's still going to be greed. There's still going to be murder. There's still going to be all of this stuff, but it is slowly shifting. It will slowly shift as we continue to shift and not get distracted or pulled into that chaos, right? You want to hold the knowingness and the reality of what is actually going on in the big picture, which is this. You are a light worker and a way shower designed to anchor higher frequencies inside your form and higher dimensions inside your form. And as you anchor those into your form, you are opening up the portal bigger and bigger so that all the other collective humans out there can begin to access it, including the earth plane. So that slowly, very slowly, what you are watching happen out there is going to get more intense because it too needs to clear, right? It needs to heal, it needs to purge so that it can access and move into these higher frequencies and higher dimensions that you are currently anchoring and walking into. So you walk around knowing this is what I'm doing. I am anchoring higher dimensions. I'm holding higher frequencies in my physical form, even though what I'm seeing out there isn't necessarily how I am feeling. And I can get upset about it and I can get angry and rageful, or I can remember what's actually going on here, which is that I'm the way shower opening up this portal. I have to stay focused on that so that I can do the work that I came here to do, regardless if it's your divine blueprint or not. Doesn't matter. Your purpose of being on the earth plane is to hold the higher frequencies to open up the portal into the 5D consciousness so the collective can come. So just because you don't see it on the outside right now doesn't mean it's not coming with you. It's very slow sometimes. You're going to shift first, and then Earth and humanity will shift with you. Earth is already holding a 5D consciousness. You have to be able to vibrate at that 5D consciousness in order to access and see that Earth is already okay, that everything is okay, that Earth is already clear and free and beautiful and loving and expanded. You have to know that, right? When you're anchored in 5D, you experience that, you see that, you feel that, you hear that, you know that. But as we are doing this ourselves, right? And it's like we're on the slow mode button, right? We have to catch up to the earth plane that's already there. And that's what we're doing. Okay? So remember that, all of you, this is what you're here to do. Aside from anything else, the very most important piece to remember is that you're anchoring this light in the physical form naturally and courageously and annoyingly sometimes, right? And then you're walking forward to anchor and to open the portals. And you're still standing and looking out at a 3D consciousness where there's greed and corruption and pain and fear and destruction and all of the stuff that we're seeing. But eventually that will start to subside as we continue to stay focused on what we're here to do. There you go. All right, you guys, I'm going to get going. It's been an hour and 28 minutes. Yes, Nicola, you can watch it. It'll be on my channel right away, so you'll have access directly to the video, so you can watch the beginning of it. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'm honored to be able to be in this now moment with you, that I can turn on YouTube and show up and we can connect and join and talk and share and learn and know and remember and everything that we're doing. So it's an absolute honor. And I will be live on Tuesday, September 24th, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll be live. So set your clocks. Hit the little bell button under this next to the subscribe and you'll get notified. All right. Thank you, Stephen, for coming on and being the moderator. We love you and all of the work that you're doing as your beautiful Starborn messenger. Check out his YouTube, you guys, and his website. And I love you guys. I'll see you guys all soon. Let me know if you have any questions down below. And check out the online community I'm starting, the Stargate Circle. Be gentle with yourselves. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Tuesday at 4. Bye.